because they won. And then I want to speak on Man United. They may not win the league title this season, Arsenal. They may not go on to do it. But when you listen to legends speak about why teams are so good, why they become great, how they end up winning major trophies, so much of it is built upon a solid, top-class defense. And that was the fundamental difference between Man United and Arsenal today. And it's the biggest reason, in my humble opinion, that Arsenal are in this title race. Today, not a foot really put wrong by Arsenal defensively. There was a few little mistakes from Partey earlier on in the game, a bad pass back from Declan Rice early in the game. But Saliba and Gabriel, the fact that both have been admitted, the fact that neither feature in the Player of the Year conversation is an absolute abomination. Their individual performances today, their collectiveness as a pair was absolutely top class. I think one goal in 2024 conceded out of London. That is absolutely phenomenal. And if this would have been last season's Arsenal team with the likes of Holding as an example, I think if Zinchenko was playing at left back today, Ahmad would have got change. And you know what's really interesting watching Garnacho today? This man dribbled past. I was looking at one stat here that I was really interested in. So Ben White was dribbled past today. So Odegaard on the right for Arsenal, the left for Man United, dribbled past 3 times. Rice got dribbled past 5 times today at fullback. But every time Garnacho will get on to him, didn't always make the right decision, especially in the last 5 minutes. But every time he tried whipping a ball in, if the ball was good enough, who was there to cut it out? Saliba and Gabriel. There was an opportunity early in the game for Man United, a shot from Garnacho that was going on target, and the little sticking out of the foot by Gabriel, making himself big, getting that little deflection. All these little millimeters, all these millimeters that turn into centimeters is the difference between the two. Man United actually, for me, played well for the large part. Few saves had to be made by Onana, but it was a massive defensive mistake from Casemiro that gave Arsenal probably one of the easiest goals of the season. I still couldn't believe it went in. I thought the flag was going to go up. Then you see Casemiro plays him onside. AWB not looking over his shoulder and going to sleep. Really poor. And that was the major difference between the two teams today. It was how good defensively Arsenal are versus how poor Man United can be. And I think that there will be disappointment amongst Arsenal fans if they don't go on to win this league title. But the fact that you didn't collapse when everybody said, the evidence is there that you are a top team. Now, to become a great team or a legendary team, you have to win Premier Leagues. You have to win Champions Leagues. Everybody in history that wants to be in that class needs those trophies. But when I watch this Arsenal team, I know they're up against Pep Guardiola in England, which makes it hard, and there's brilliant teams in Europe. But I believe as a rival of Arsenal, watching them play, there is a team there that can win major trophies. They're going to improve this squad again in the summer. Arteta is going to be another year maturer, another year wiser as a manager. I don't think at the end of this campaign there is any reason for even conversations about what to do next. Just the standards have got to be pushed. The fans have got to demand more. And if this Arsenal team improves its squad in the summer with the likes of Isak or Zubimendi or Frankie de Jong who are linked to them, they will be a formidable force again next year because they are an absolutely top football team. There's no doubt about it. The defense, by the way, as I say, when it comes to Liverpool and City, and Liverpool and City fans watching will probably remember this. I went on about it for years. What impressed me the most about their teams was how quickly they win the ball back, how quickly they get back into shape, how, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. How defensively resolute they are. And I said that for many years. The tiki-taka football from Pep, the heavy metal football from Klopp, brilliant. What I rated the most was how they got back into shape, how they would make it so hard for their opponents. And today, that is what was done by Arsenal to Man United. We won the ball back off of your attackers quite a bit. I thought our midfield today turned the ball over in good areas. We played it into, and I'll get onto that a little bit later, why I think United was so good at that element of the game today. But when it got to the final third, yes, there were some poor decisions from players. I do think we didn't try to get the ball into the box early enough at times. But it's because Arsenal, when we got to the edge of the box, they made it difficult for us. And sometimes Arsenal fans will celebrate the win because it keeps them in the title race. You can't always win 5-6-7-0. You can't always be the best footballing team in terms of the attack. These types of games are what make champions. And whether it's this season you become champions or whether you go on to do it over the next couple of years, it's these moments, these gateway moments that will put the confidence into these Arsenal players. Larry here said a win is a win. At this stage of the season, Larry, 110%. 110%. It's a win is a win. There's no doubt about it. And this comment here says Old Trafford has been a difficult place for Arsenal forever. 1-0 was a professional performance. And it certainly was. And I was watching the game and I thought to myself, Arsenal maybe last season, Arsenal definitely 2 years ago plus, drop points in that last 10 minutes. They just don't quite have the steel to see themselves through. The growth and the strength of this Arsenal team is brilliant. And look, there's going to be detractors of Mikel Arteta. There's going to be rivals are going to be putting a lot of pressure out there around, well, he hasn't won anything. It's been a failure of a season. You should get rid of him. We should look to bring somebody in better. Always come back to them with one question. Who is that person and are they attainable realistically? Probably not. The only managers in the world I think that are better than Arteta at this particular moment are unattainable right now. And I don't think any amount of money is going to be bringing them to Arsenal at this particular juncture. But as I say, really, really solid from them. Both teams weren't great. See, I disagree. I wouldn't say either team was great in every facet of the game. But Arsenal defensively were great. Arsenal's shape was amazing. Neither side was world-class today. I would agree with that. But I actually think it's because both teams nullified certain areas of each other's games and made it hard for them. And both need to be praised for that, in my humble opinion. This super chat here says, considering injuries and form, I will come back to that in a minute. We'll come back to the Man United stuff when I get on to speaking about them directly. Is Terry a United or an Arsenal fan? Why is he glazing them so hard? That expression of glazing is so funny. Well, my job is to talk football. I'm a very lucky and privileged person that I've been able to build this platform for you, with you, together. I'm being professional. I'm being professional because that's my job, to be professional. And I said I'm moving on to Manchester United very, very shortly. This year says the hype is real. United's entire defense is out and best two attackers. They had more to do with how the game went than any other great performance from Arsenal. Look, there's elements of that, but I'll talk on it. And United put in a really solid performance, in my opinion, considering all of that. And you heard what I said, their performance. I haven't mentioned that many times this year, but I will in this case. However, defensively, we just couldn't penetrate Arsenal. That element of Arsenal is great. And when you say the hype is real, I don't quite know what you mean. They're in a title race with one of the greatest English teams of all time. Definitely the greatest of this generation until the final day. I don't think Arsenal, you can't be overhyping, unless somebody's saying they are the best team in the world or they are the best Premier League team. That's the only way you can overhype Arsenal right now. They are a brilliant footballing team. They're a top side. They're a Premier League or a Champions League away from being looked at as a great team potentially. So I get it. Need Unai Emery banned from the Emirates for good is what Garrett has to say here. This here from Della Spurs, who says, no, Arsenal were not that good. United just that bad. Man U's attack looked like Spurs, impotent and dull. Look, I think it was stopped. So much of it was stopped by Arsenal today. As I say, that's my view. That is my opinion. But look, I would like to hear from you guys what your thoughts and feelings are on Arsenal today. Now moving on to Man United. I did a preview this morning and I spoke about my fear of playing Arsenal today, my fear of a battering, my fear of us being ripped apart. I've also been very, very critical of Erik ten Hag this season for making no real changes to how we play in and out of possession, being too easy to play through. And then when we get the ball, due to our poor shape, there are less options for us to transition the ball through. Those two things for me have been our biggest issue, aside from our injuries. The reason the injuries have not been for me the go-to excuse is because there's been no base of a performance. And that for me is key. And I said in the Arsenal monologue that performance was key today from Man United. We definitely needed better end product from our attackers today, but there is still a lack of pattern in the way we move forward. Do our guys in the box know if a cross is coming in early, if it's coming in late, or if we're going to pass it back out again? There is no consistency in the way we attack. That needs to be worked on, there's no doubt. But what gives you the base to work upon is what we did in and out of possession today. And I've been talking about this for weeks. I wanted a performance, put a result aside, a performance that I can say, get on board with that. And today, what we did out of possession, we went into a 4-3-3. But it was a real interesting one because McTominay would push into the front three. And then you would see the likes of sort of Ahmad and Garnacho at times tucking in centrally into the midfield to fill the holes that all season have been gaping. And it made it hard for Arsenal to pass through. This gave the support to Casemiro and Johnny Evans, who at their age, and the fact that Casemiro is not a centre-back, it gave them much more protection. They also weren't up against a very, very powerful and athletic striker. That does help. I'm very aware of that. We then, because there was a midfield structure, very good performance, I thought, from a young man like Kobbie Mainoo on the ball. And Amrabat put in the type of performance today that I was expecting to see for the vast majority of the season. There was a couple of wayward passes, but I'm not going to nitpick. This is a man who was winning the ball back in his duels. He was intercepting passes. He was 9 times out of 10 in the right place at the right time. And there's very little rhythm to his game because he hasn't played enough football recently. But all of this came about. So I think some of it had to do with the crowd, and that the energy at Old Trafford was beautiful today. And it gave me goosebumps at times, even when we were losing. I really liked that. They looked at a very vulnerable and young team in areas, and the fans got behind them, and I respect that. But Ten Hag deserves an amount of credit today because he adjusted the system. He filled the holes. And I look at it and think, if 6 months ago that adjustment had been made, and then the team works on that and it grows, and you build a solid foundation. By the way, we're at home to Arsenal and we had more of the ball. And that was a lot of that was us. A lot of that was us, because when we conceded, Arsenal then had the ball, they were dominant, and we settled again. And I was really proud to see us settle. Normally we throw it away. So I want to congratulate that element on Ten Hag, because it gives us, for the next 2 league games and the big final for us, something to go, right, it worked. And we were still able to work the ball into areas of the pitch to try and be dangerous from. If we were performing like this for the lion's share of the season, with our injuries, you would hear me say that injuries have cost us. Because I think if we got the ball in some of those dangerous areas today and had Luke Shaw on the left, who's left-footed, had Rashford in the team, Bruno Fernandes with his creativity, Lissandro at the back, Varane at the back, there is a genuine argument and possibility the game goes a different way, because you've got more individual quality in a system that I thought had some chemistry today. Now, there's loads about this performance that would still need to improve, but you improve it by having a consistency of shape, a consistency of approach, but in one that's solid, that doesn't make the players nervous. And you saw some of that confidence grow. So look, I tweeted this out. Should Man United take encouragement from that performance? For me personally, yes. And Jay here makes me laugh, says, can't believe the nonsense I'm listening to. Well, Jay, that's because if we're basing this, if it's results-based analysis, then it's poor. But I can only be consistent with my own view of football. And that is that I've wanted Man United to put in a solid base of performance. And we did that today. I'm unhappy with the result. I really would have liked us to have got the draw at the very least, if not won the game. I was disappointed in the lack of service into Højlund again, or I thought generally his hold-up play was pretty good, barring one sort of mistake where he turned into Saliba. Ahmad, I thought, was brilliant in the first half till he got that knock on his knee, and in the second half he faded a little bit. I thought Garnacho really had a good job in terms of getting into dangerous positions. He just had a really poor day when it comes to the end products, and all of that needs to be criticised, Jay. But as a Man United fan who has not seen a base level performance that you can grow from for about 6 months, I was happy with that element of the game. So listen, more of the same for me against Newcastle. Do it again against Brighton. Get it drilled into these players. And there is a very small percentage chance you could beat Man City. I stand by that statement. Small percentage chance. Definitely a much bigger chance than if you leave the whole midfield open, as we've done for 95% of this season. Now, I'm going to bring the panel out in a minute. I'm going to go to some super chats first.